In January of 2019, a TV show based on the comic book Deadly Class was premiered on Sci-Fi, produced by Sony, with the Russo brothers as executive producers. Now, if you aren't hip to this information or genuinely you might have forgotten, Deadly Class is set in the late 1980s. We follow Marcus, a homeless youth with a very traumatic past, as he's recruited into King's Dominion, an elite private academy where students are trained to become assassins, housing kids from humble but fucked up beginnings to children from some of the world's top crime families. With other shows based on comic books like Umbrella Academy, Watchmen, and The Boys all debuting in 2019 as well, Deadly Class had seemingly just arrived at the right time. Well, maybe not, considering the fact that it was cancelled almost immediately after in June of the exact same year. With a high production cost and a very low viewership, Sci-Fi decided to walk away, and unfortunately, no one decided to step up to the podium. And excluding Watchmen, which was always going to be a limited series, the other shows I mentioned are all at least on their second season and have been renewed for a third season. Now, in all fairness to Deadly Class, all the shows I mentioned earlier all have superheroes in it, which in today's world is very important. And the one of them that technically doesn't have one, or at least doesn't have one for most of the show, is based on one of the most popular comic books to ever exist. But the most damning recognizer for just how shafted Deadly Class was as a show is that all of the shows I just mentioned are on HBO, Netflix, and Amazon Prime respectively. Meanwhile, Deadly Class was on Sci-Fi. And that's no disrespect to Sci-Fi. They're fine. They've made good shows before. It's just that most of these shows are known for not getting more than 1 or 2 seasons, and they don't hold a candle to the juggernauts I just mentioned a moment ago. But the size of the company, or how popular the company is, isn't all that relevant because there was almost no promo for the show outside of a early premiere. I don't even remember there being a single ad for the show, like genuinely, I don't even remember one. Even I, someone who was kind of waiting for the show to come out, didn't actually see that the show had premiered until April of 2019. Months after the finale. I have to admit, I wasn't exactly watching the calendar, but you would think I would have at least saw something that reminded me, oh wait, that show was on. In fact, I was initially told about the show from a friend who had read the comic. I didn't even see it add a video or anything for it. I was told about it from somebody who liked the source material. Keep in mind, this show was executive produced by the fucking Russo brothers. Like, that in itself is kind of insane. How did the clout of the Russo brothers not at least help a little bit in getting a season 2? There are so many things this show does well that truly shows me it should not have been shafted in the way that it was. There are so many things that work well in Deadly Class that other shows just cannot replicate. It has honest and legit conversations about mental health, trauma, substance abuse, friendship, fear, and of course growing up. Oftentimes, modern media depicts characters with depression and mental illness as evil and unpredictable, and even as dishonest and slimy, with almost every negative trait or legitimate mistake they make in the show being directly linked to the said character being mentally ill. And frankly, those are disgusting and dishonest ways to portray mental illness in shows. You can write mentally ill characters in a way that doesn't baby them for the mistakes that they make, but also doesn't demonize them for them either. And that's a sign of good writing, so I'll give them credit for that 100%. The 80s backdrop is also really fucking cool. Like, they go all the way from the music to the clothing, the aesthetic, how people talk, what they talk about. They even have a fucking Ice-T cameo. The action, the effects are really good, albeit a little gory sometimes, which doesn't bother me, but I understand if it bothers other people. As well as the casting for this show being really fucking good. Like, it's beautiful. It's legit. The acting is actually really good and all of the actors have great chemistry together on screen. Diversity in modern media has been a huge topic, but it's not at all a problem in this show and it doesn't feel nasty or forced at all. I've also seen some reviewers criticize the pacing, but for me it's not particularly a problem. I have to admit, when I don't notice the pacing of a show, I automatically assume it's good, because if I notice it, that means it's probably pretty bad. I also binge the show instead of watching it from week to week, so people may feel a little different about the pacing than I do, since they watched it differently than I happen to. Despite that, I'm not going to dick ride Deadly Class the whole show. Not everything works and I'm going to be honest about that. First off, the jokes for the most part are kind of fine. They don't really bother me. They're pretty inoffensive, but they really fuck with the tone a lot. Like, even from scene to scene, it can get kind of jarring. The jokes aren't even like the quick chuckle type of dark humor jokes and are more so designed to make you want to laugh out loud. And then right after that sequence, it'll refocus to some sinister fucked up portion of the plot. It's just so confusing. I have no idea how the show wants me to feel, and it's so fucking frustrating sometimes. Also, the editing is downright fucking hilarious. Like, I mean comedy special hilarious. It's the funniest shit in the show, and I'm not even joking. Look at this shit.
We gotta get out of here. Come on, man, let's go. Marcus? Marcus!
He dies over and over.
Shit!
His face disappears on an endless loop.
What did you do?
He killed someone who deserved it.
And if you're wondering, no, I didn't speed up or edit those clips in any way. That's literally how they were released to the public. The fact that no one watched it and giggled like I did was mind-boggling to me. What makes it so frustrating is that both of those things I just mentioned that I didn't like are easily fixable in a following season. These are not world-ending traits for a series, they're growing pains. Now that we're all on the same page, it's time that we talk about what we should do next. The time and place to petition for a season 2 of Daily Class was probably like 2 years ago, so we're a little behind on that. So for better or worse, it looks like Daily Class, at least for how it's currently constructed, will never come back. And while it will make me so happy to see them run it all back with some real promo on a currently talked about network and streaming service, that all seems out of the picture right now. So I think the next move is, for those who haven't seen Daily Class, or maybe you just want a quick rewatch, head over to Peacock and, watch to your heart's delight. What I'm gonna go do next is read the comic, which I should have already read already, but I keep rereading the same things. But for real this time, I'm really gonna read it this time, like on God. And when you're ready, join me.